Can I ask everyone to take their seat? We need to get started soon. Good morning. I see I have no authority here. Can I ask people please to take their seats so we can get started? And actually, before I start with my remarks, the important things first, because I see some of you are already near a nervous breakdown because you can't figure out how the Wi-Fi works. So I'm going to make this announcement real quick while people take their seats. So first of all, you need to try to find EC Guest as the Wi-Fi network. Then you need a username, which is guest_SG@SG, and the password is guest_SG. I repeat, you go and find EC Guest, the username is guest_SG@SG, password is guest_SG. So I hope everyone will manage to get into the Wi-Fi. And with that, let me now officially open the event and wish you all a good morning. So my name, for those of you who don't know me, is Mettler, and I'm the head of the European Political Strategy Center, the European Commission's in-house think tank. I also have the honor to serve as the chair of the European Strategy and Policy Analysis System, ESPAS. And this is, let me just say, truly a unique and I believe also very valuable collaboration between the Commission, the European Parliament, the Council of the EU, and the European External Action Service with the committee, with also the involvement of the Committee of the Regions and the European Economic and Social Committee. And the ESPAS itself focuses very much on global trends and strategic foresight, so exactly what we'll be discussing today. So, and as the chair of ESPAS, let me very warmly welcome you to the 2017 ESPAS Annual Conference, Global Trends to 2030, the Making of a New Geopolitical Order. Now, I know that many of you have traveled from far away to be with us today, whether it's from Brasilia or Beijing or Islamabad and Singapore. And let me just say how thrilled we are to have you all with us. And as some of you may know, this is the third edition in a series of annual conferences that were launched in 2015, drawing insights from the first ESPAS report, Global Trends to 2030, Can the EU Meet the Challenges Ahead? And I have to say, little did we know how much the world would be changing in the years to come. Because today I think it is very clear that we face a more connected, contested, and complex world where uncertainty and volatility seem to be the new norm. And we, as experts and leaders in public policy, I think we need to really deal with this new reality head on. And if there is a silver lining in this new uncertainty and volatility, it is perhaps that these days no one doubts that institutions, governments, and societies need to be really better prepared for the future. Some go so far as to say that we need a new culture of preparedness. And we need to be better at anticipating plausible futures and better at building resilience and better at fostering this culture of preparedness. And let me say, not only by a handful of policy planners, but across the board and throughout our institutions. Or as one of our speakers said at last year's event, we need to move from management by crisis to management by anticipation and foresight. And I think we all know that that's a tall order. And that's why the main goal of today's proceedings is twofold. Firstly, we want to really demonstrate the increasing importance of strategic foresight and anticipation and showing how it is used and how it is done across a diverse array of institutional, governmental, and societal experiences. And secondly, we will discuss how geopolitics and the international order are changing, and what some of the strategic game changers might be. And to do just that, we are launching 2 new publications. Please allow me to highlight these to really, I hope, can underpin these learning processes. It's number 1, this strategic foresight primer by Angela Wilkinson, who's of course also with us today and will lead 2 of the sessions. And let me say the inspiration for this pamphlet was very much previous ESPAS conferences when a lot of you asked, well, how do we actually do this? What are some of the methods? What are some of the techniques? And really, what are some of the best practices? So we thought, let's go back to basics and really write such a little book because we see that strategic foresight is really sort of booming and a lot of people having questions. So hopefully this can be very helpful to you. And secondly, we're also launching Shaping the Future of Geopolitics, which is a compilation of think pieces from this year's conference speakers. And let me say there are really some excellent pieces in there, and I hope that you will have a moment to read them. And it goes without saying that I extend really my sincerest thanks to all those of you who were able to contribute. Now, looking ahead, I want to already mention now that a new ESPAS report is already in the pipeline, and today's and tomorrow's discussions will certainly feed into it. So we're planning to launch this new ESPAS report ahead of the new institutional cycle in 2019. So everything that's being said here has the potential to feed into that work. And much of the work of this new report is spearheaded by our dear colleagues in the European Parliament, where also our discussions will continue tomorrow in the second day for the ESPAS conference. So this is certainly the right moment to call on my very esteemed colleague, Klaus Welle, the Secretary General of the European Parliament. Klaus has really been a key driving force behind ESPAS since the very beginning, and it has been a true pleasure to work with you, Klaus, with your team in the Parliament. You're doing great work, and with that, let me hand over to you. Thank you so much. Once again, warm welcome.
Good morning and welcome everybody. We are discussing during this conference about geopolitics. And those of you who have been dealing a bit with the issue know that this is a tradition of thought which has a bit a mixed history, including, by the way, in my own country, Germany, earlier on in this century. But there are 3 references in the field which are still having some impact today. We are having the founder, McMahon, who developed ideas about naval power at the end of the 19th century and who is inspiring thinking today, for example, in China, as it establishes what kind of role it wants to play in the future as it's getting stronger. We had Mackinder, who had some ideas on how to reorganize the European space, and he wrote a book in January 2019 with some recommendations which got it spectacularly wrong, because he thought he could create stability with a kind of space in between, and that idea was finally finished with the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact in 1939. And then we had Spikeman, who published his works towards the end of the Second World War, and who probably established the blueprint of finally very successful containment policy after the Second World War. When we have a look at these 3 authors, they have differences, but 2 issues they have in common, and there are always these two issues which are raised when we are speaking about geopolitics. The first is how to establish a balance in what is called Eurasia. And secondly, what should be the role of the United States, being waiting outside for trouble and intervene at the last moment, or being present all the time? Both of those issues are again on the agenda and need fresh answers. 25 years, one generation after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So what are the changing elements? On the one hand, we have listened to the Chinese President Xi, who has formulated a new ambition for China at the last party conference. We have North Korea, and it's clear that if North Korea manages successfully to develop its nuclear capacity, including long-range missiles, this will change the risk calculus for the United States, but this will also fundamentally change the situation for South Korea and Japan, to which these two countries also will have to formulate answers. We have Russia, which has resorted to more aggressive politics, as we have seen in Ukraine. And we have a lot of soul-searching in the United States, with the president who has won the elections under the motto of America First. So what does it mean for us? The European Union is a project which was established in order to overcome the policy of balance of power. And I think we can claim that within our space, the European Union, we have successfully managed to do that, avoiding the volatility, crisis, and wars that have been the regular feature over so many centuries. Also, the European Union can claim that it has been a major transformative force, first for Western Europe, overcoming the dictatorships which we have also been facing, and then for Central and Eastern Europe. And when you look around the world, there are not many other attempts, at least I don't know them, to transform to democracy, human rights, and the rule of law in such a successful manner in such a historical short time span. Nevertheless, also the European Union is facing new challenges. Since the Bratislava Declaration, we have a clear roadmap where to go, both in terms of border protection, but also now and increasingly in the area of cooperation, in the area of security and defense. The Union is developing a policy to avoid that it's importing instability from a neighborhood which is becoming increasingly unstable. So I believe during these 2 days we have fascinating debates to be had, and I wish the conference good success.
Thank you. Is my mic on? Okay. Thank you so much, Klaus, for these very moving words, and also highlighting a little bit some of the issues that we will certainly be speaking about today.